Engineering Committee. Item number 1, CIP End of Year.
All right, so the first two items you're going to hear are just kind of the annual updates, the CIP and the development projects, and we'll get a couple more. You'll get probably more of a general interest, specific interest in the last two items. So,
Yep.
James, I'm not sure who's taking the CIP.
Yeah, we're going to do a group effort here
Okay.
since this is Ryan's first, and most of the CIP is from last fiscal year. And then Lito's here, who basically he managed a lot of these jobs. So, but really, I'm going to start off first. Now, we typically bring the year end in August, but as the board may recall, in August we were fairly busy with another item called capital facility fees. So we kind of just pushed this off. But what I really want to do is go through how easy it is to self-check this, because even though we are giving the presentation out, the reports were up in August for anybody to view. So if you just go to dwd.org, and we're the only agency that does it to this level. We check with all the other agencies, and nobody puts this much information. You go to engineering, click on engineering, and we have the engineering cog. You go to capital, and just go to active CIP projects. So from here, here's a list, basically a nice Google map. You can zoom in, zoom out, and you can see all of our projects.
Yep.
So for example, Rock Springs, it was an active project. You could just click on it, it'll give you a brief overview of what's going on, or you could click here a little closer and it'll give you a bigger update. And Lito, this was your project, so why don't you give them an update on this year end. So here's the fourth quarter, you can see. Go ahead.
So as you guys may recall, this is a 3,000 linear foot sewer replacement project on Rock Springs Road that upsized the existing 8-inch to a 12 and 15-inch. So far, I think we had 19 change orders for this quarter, and that percentage, our actual percentage, was less than 0.06%.
0.06%, so a lot of changes.
Yeah. We had some
We
good
fa-
change orders in during the spring that gave us a pretty decent credit.
Yeah.
So you can
Oh,
see, you can
big
see
credit.
right here, right? You can see the change orders down, and then you can see some,
14,000.
yeah, you see some different things. So at the end of the day, it came out pretty good. Well, it's a success basically. So
And then you have your schedule breakdown of things that were completed and things that are coming up, and then any outstanding issues on the bottom of the year.
and this is updated for every job that Capital's working on. And here you have like your projected. This is what the contractor said he was going to bill out. This is what the actuals are, and then so this is your financials. So let's see. With that, you go in and for example, and one of the things that we have is not only our jobs in construction, we'll also have jobs, for example, that are in design. So anything that we actually have design contracts or we're moving forward on. Again, there's the general description. You get through closer, and I'll just take this one here. This is basically, we're looking at replacing the aeration panels at Metal Arc. And if we get Carlsbad to pay for it, we're looking at putting what we call a selector zone, which removes phosphorus, which is the primary culprit that grows algae in Mar, to help improve the water quality. But the main benefit, the benefactors are the recycled water customers. So if they can pay for it, we might do the whole thing. If they don't pay for it, we need to replace the aeration panels because we need them to treat secondary sewer, which is what we need to do. So this one obviously is just in design. You can see here it doesn't have as much financials. It basically has a contract amount, what we paid to date. So we're 60% design. We're a little under 50% paid to date, 45% paid to date. You kind of see the schedule here as we kind of broke it out at the end of the fiscal year. Now when we do a new quarter update, which the new quarter is coming up soon, we'll update all the numbers with anything new information.
So who's the design?
Trussell. So Shane. So basically that's kind of it. But if the board or if a board ever gets calls from one of its constituents, they could direct them right to this website. And compared to any other agency, we put more information on here, and it's real easy to navigate. You can click on it, you can zoom up, you could enlarge this map if you want to, and then you kind of click on it this way by colors. So there's a lot of different avenues to do that.
Oh, good.
So with that, that's kind of the basics of it, and then with that, kind of go into the end of year CIP report. So this is something that we show the board. We'll bring this to the board probably on the 16th. Just do a quick presentation, and it's per ordinance that we're supposed to bring this to the board at least once a year, and usually year end.
Have we seen the previous navigation at the board?
Yeah, you saw it. We
Yeah.
started this 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And your exact quote was, "This is amazing, so simple, so very." But I think we don't put it in front of you guys enough, or we don't get an opportunity to.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that people forget about it.
exactly.
So we're gonna show it just like
Good.
I showed it to you
Oh,
here
good.
on the board. I'm just gonna show a couple projects. But as you may recall, even Director Martin a few meetings ago, when he first started on the EWA board a while ago, he said EWA gave this great flyer about their projects, and I said, well, kind of do the same. He goes, no, projects that are not in construction, in design, and we kind of do the same. So,
Yeah.
but you know, we only kind of per ordinance, we only bring this in front of you once a year,
Yeah.
and
well,
it's pretty. But here's the good news: if you're not hearing a lot about our capital projects, that means things are going good.
yeah.
Okay, because
Exactly.
you hear about it when either customers are complaining or we need to come to you for money. so
Oh, good.
here's our year end. Again, the year end's late, but you know the reason why. Really, we're going to go through the end of year project summary, and then Lito's going to give you some fourth quarter reports, just a couple pictures and descriptions on what's going on. So really, kind of highlighting this is we kind of have a project tracking sheet. We track everything. And really, last fiscal year, we had total contracts about $4.3 million, and we paid $3.4 million paid to date. Our change order percentage for the fiscal year was 1.532 change orders for 1.52%, well below industry standard. And we'll kind of go through what industry standard looks like now based on some research I've done. And granted, I picked and choose some of the research.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
admit to
sure.
it,
Yeah,
but it's still research.
Of course. Don't-
Design contracts, $2.2 million in design contracts. And if you look here, these are kind of numbers I highlighted. But even in design contracts, you can look at here we are, and we've paid $1.8 million. We've paid 79%, almost 80% of our design contracts. What that means is, and Ryan's quickly learned this, we have several jobs that are ready to bid. So we're going to be busy in spending construction money basically the remainder of this fiscal year and into next fiscal year. And we'll talk a little bit about those projects.
Well, before you go on, so we got about round numbers $2 million in design. 10% of the project, so we got $20 million worth of construction coming.
No, not all the design is 10% of it. When you do like a pump station or something, it's significantly larger. So, but these are, you have $31 million in budget right here.
No?
You can see.
Yeah.
So in
Oh yeah, there we go.
So
Yeah.
there's your budget money.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So obviously that includes planning, design, and construction.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
I get it now.
So this is basically, if you prefer it graphically, it's the same thing I just showed you. You got purple is the projected monthly, and the blue here is the actual monthly, and it projects the same. And this is because we had a lot of smaller contracts that were one or two billing cycles that kind of line up. Usually when we get bigger, like next fiscal year, when we have like the bigger projects out, you're gonna see this line deviate. What ends up happening is contractors typically, these lines are the cumulative lines, so cumulative projected compared to cumulative actual. Contractors assume they're going to get paid up front, and then their line goes like that. And what really happens is something that, like the blue line, they end up at the same place, but contractors always assume they get more money up front.
Yeah.
Mobilization.
Yep. But in actuality, so this helps with finance on tracking how much, especially when in big projects, how much how many dollars are coming out of the, whether it's the cap fee account or obviously a combination of cap fee and our reserves. So back when we were doing the 40 million gallon tank and the treatment plant upgrade, that was over $40 million in contracts, and so this was very important. So speaking of that, so we've been tracking this. I started in 05, so we've been tracking this thing since basically I started in May 05, so fiscal year 06 was that July, so we've been tracking it since that first fiscal year. And you can see every year the amount of the contract amounts, the amount of change orders, the dollar amount of change orders, and the percentages every year that we go through. And you can also kind of see, and here's that, $40 million gallon tank and metal arc expansion at $40 million. So even that year we had a 5% change order, and that includes that $11 million litigation that we basically won on the treatment plant, but we still had to do a little bit of payout on that. So you can see the change orders every year, and when you average them all out, we've been averaging a little bit over $5.5 million in CIPs, a little bit over 21 change orders, under $300,000, and averaging about 5%. Now, when you total it, that's $73 million in change, almost 73 and a half, 277 change orders, and about $3.7 million in change orders that we processed through the group. Same 5%, right? That all makes sense. And so I called up several of our local cities. I called up a few of our local agencies. I called up Olivenhain. Their number was much, much higher. Actually, I think that's one of the
It's
reasons.
gonna get worse with their new
Twilight
guy.
Irish.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Actually, the new guy is borrowing all of our setup to try and get their stuff out
That's what I'm
because
saying.
their percentages were significantly higher. Jason refused to give me the exact number. So, but 15% is what a lot of people are averaging nowadays,
Seems
especially.
high to me.
Woo,
That
it does.
sure
It
does
used,
seem
it
high.
used to be 10.
Hmm.
It used to be 10, 12, coming through
Oh,
the
well, see,
recession.
that's, architects, we're 3.
Yeah. So
You guys make more money, but we do a better
I don't
job.
know. Architects live in those big houses.
That's okay. They bigger mortgages, that's all.
So, but even if it was 10%, you could still see the relative savings. So, compared to industry standard, that's $73 million would equate to $11 million in change orders, or roughly the difference is 7.2. You cut that number to whatever you wanted to cut it to, but you're absolutely right, Director Eltop. Through the recession, the change order percentages really went down, and now, if I asked them what their 5-year averages or 6-year average, the number's lower. But if I ask them what their 1 or 2-year averages, the number's quite high.
Yeah, I think good economic times, that tends to inflate.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and projects are getting out quicker. There's less QA/QC, more change orders. Plus, a lot of the projects are building in tougher corridors, so you're seeing increased change order percentages. So, and then this is just for anybody to view. This is the listing of like the actual larger capital. We still handle a lot of the smaller ops related capital jobs, but these are a listing of all the capital jobs, all the change order percentages of capital jobs that you have. And so you can look at individual projects to see how they've done it, and it's separated out by fiscal year, so you can see what was done every fiscal year. With that, let me turn it over to Lito to kind of go through the projects.
Alright, so rather than going through the 9 CIP projects that are currently active, I just wanted to highlight the 3 that is currently in construction. We're actually getting ready to wrap them up and hopefully complete within the second quarter. This is Rock Springs Road, as I mentioned earlier. It's a $2.1 million sewer replacement project. This is the open trench phase of it, and we're getting ready to connect over on Bennett and Rock Springs. And then this is the open trench dig and lay operation in the Greenbelt. So we're currently doing a site restoration. We're ready to hand over the keys to the HOA. On the right, you have the Greenbelt in almost complete completely restored. This is an access road on the right there. We're going to be able to drive on the road, drive on the access road with our big Vector trucks, and the residents will not know the difference between the nice grassy area. versus
Those are the
actual
same
access.
sites, by the way,
Mhm.
before and afters, or during and after. And as Lito mentioned, during this greenbelt when it rains, because our vehicles will get stuck. But now with that access, we'll be able to drive in to maintain and check our manholes and our facilities.
And how wide is the access?
Oh, it's big. It's probably like about 15 feet wide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6-inch concrete.
Yeah.
Oh, that concrete's like a good, 8
Yeah, oh
inches.
no, I just,
It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not your regular sidewalk.
no, but
So,
And the community's really happy with the
oh yeah,
results.
so they
Yeah.
can use it too.
I mean, they could use it before, but now it's not a mud hole.
Was there a access of any kind before, a trail, a sidewalk, anything?
they would just hop
There's
the curb and get into
There's a little curb before.
Yeah, there was a meandering
Yeah,
trail
there
that
was
went
a
through there, but that certainly wasn't drivable. That
Oh,
was
no,
like
no,
a
yeah, no,
sidewalk.
that's what I
Yeah.
meant, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And was it our standards that had us redo the top of the road, or was that the city that told us to do that?
That's the city standards as far
Uh-huh,
as
yeah.
having to do it on the both lanes because
Mhm.
we're right down the middle and we had to
Yep, yep.
slurry seal the
And
both sides.
That's
That's
cost
worth
their
the
project.
effort.
At
Yeah,
the
and
end of the day, the neighbors are happy.
Oh, yeah.
Looks
yeah.
brand new.
Particularly because it's virtually invisible.
Yeah.
And that's what we used to all complain about, you know, we put in a new road and Water District, SDG, need to cut a trench and
The
leave
road
it
was
there.
not
and-
in good shape
dum,
when we
dum,
got
dum,
there. We
yeah.
left it in better shape after our job.
Yeah, that's good, that's really good.
Next project is our Palos Vista pump station, getting a emergency generator there on the right. Last quarter, we just completed the equipment pad on the right there. So on the left, we have the generator being delivered and installed on the pad there, and then we're pulling wires currently and hopefully hooking it all up and doing the startup.
This is that pump station above the Emerald Heights community.
Yes, is that where it's at?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Right between High Point and Emerald,
Yep.
Emerald Heights.
Well,
This is the one that.
and
pumps-
isn't that whole area just sold and they're gonna be doing some development up there?
The High Point.
Yeah, but this brings water to the tank that's up at the top of the hill.
Right.
And that will end up feeding both sides of the hill at the end of the day. Right now it feeds only the Emerald, feeds both sides, but only physically, there's only customers on
High
one side.
Point, is that the name of it?
High
Yeah,
Point's the
that's the
development,
bank.
that's the one that they're gonna go do the pipeline conditions.
Oh, yes,
assessment
that's right,
using the
that's-
Pico
yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
Is High Point a separate zone from Emerald Lake? Or-
Yes, yeah, it's separate zone. There's a hydrodynamic pump station
Right, okay.
next to it
That's
that
right.
they have to refurbish.
Yeah.
So Emerald Heights, the tank sits at 1,500
Yep.
elevation,
Mhm.
and High Point I think is at 1,650 or something like that.
1625.
1,625,
Yep.
thank you. So that there's a hydrodynamic that feeds that, but the water comes from the same tank.
Oh, so this is an emergency generator?
Yeah, so this pump station has no emergency backup, and it's
Mhm.
also in an area in case of fire or something that we wouldn't be able to get there with a temporary, just with the elevation and the fact that it's a fairly fire-prone area.
Mhm.
So we would end up potentially in a worst-case scenario that hill would be without water, and as you know, water is the lifeline of fighting fire.
Yeah.
Someone was it the HOA wanted us to maintain
Yeah.
the road?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what's the KW of the generator? How big is it?
350 to 400. It's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And then last project in construction, currently in construction, is a schoolhouse tank up in San Elijo. As the directors may recall, the girders were failing, or the rafters were failing up on the roof. They couldn't see it during inspection, and when they started sandblasting, they noticed that the rafters were quite corroded. So we needed to come in there with a change order. And so on the right there is a picture of the sandblast and primering it.
Yeah, that change order was only hundred and something thousand, not millions like the
Yeah.
building.
And so what was the remedy for the corrosion?
You may recall we went to the board for approval because it was above our ordinance limit,
Yeah.
and it was putting new plating, either single or double plating, or full rafter replacement. Correct.
Mhm.
So, and I forgot, we replaced like 23 rafters and plated.
Really?
Yeah, and plated,
Yeah.
another 18 or I forgot the number, but it was significant. I
Mhm.
think it was up.
And it's just tough to inspect, the flow of the water's down here and the rafters are up there, so it's not like you can get a camera and see it during
So do you guys
the dive.
do you do dive inspections?
Yeah, we do dive inspections, but the diver can't do it. We're looking at putting a raft in the future,
Yeah.
but even that is going to be, you would inspect the sides better, but it's hard to get in the
You
middle.
kinda
of the
need to
tunnel.
do both.
Yep.
To get high and.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then you also need to fill the tank, because when they do
Right.
dive inspections, they lower the tank volume a little bit. Not all the way, but they lower it a little bit, so we'd have to fill the tank. So it'd be, it's a coordination issue, more or
Yeah.
less.
All right. Any questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep, that told the story. Okay, item number 2, development project update.
I think Rob's gonna take that one for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll pass some information around and just want to throw that one out there.
I'll unroll it.
The directors here.
Which way you want?
Towards the directors.
Towards the directors?
I can read that too.
I'll just-
At least I hope I can.
I'll put this kind of right in between you guys. There you go.
Would you just pass the rest of these down the table here? Thanks, sir. Okay, so liquid capital facilities here. This is kind of our end of fiscal year outlook. The state of development as it was as of the end of June of this year. So I'll start with the projects that are in construction and kind of go through some of the ones that are in plan check. And I'll touch on just some of the ones that we know are on the radar there. We haven't received anything, we know they're out there. Start with university districts. So you have your block 3 and block K. These projects here, and the ones in construction are shown in green too, just so you know. This guy's pretty much wrapped up now. Where we had it's a mixed use site, had commercial, retail, along with some multifamily. Had about 49 sewer, 28 water EDUs, and that's all paid for, and that's pretty much complete. Second project there is our Fitzpatrick Apartments. This is part of the Richmar area, SPA, and you see some in the light blue. These are a lot of projects we know are on the radar that are all gonna come in as well. Fitzpatrick, that project is done here. We had 78 total multifamily units and 2 single-family dwelling units in there. That is complete. They did have a lot of rock issue, especially up on the top portion of it. So that project did take a while to actually get done. But they're there now. Rancho Coronado's mixed use, what we call the MU4 site, which is down here off Twin Oaks Valley Road. That project is it's wrapping up now. The board has approved a couple of those phases at the last board meeting, if you recall. That was 220 multifamily units on that site. Their capacity is being paid as they get everything complete now. And
Are they rushing to pay it off before we go to?
Well, we stopped short of putting the dollar amounts in because we'll see who comes in. You know, I don't want to put a dollar amount in and then a big rush comes in and pays a different fee. So
Yeah.
it'll all change based on what
Right.
happens tomorrow. So
Yeah.
so usually you see the dollar amount or potential dollar amounts.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a rush. That's for
Well,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, 3,000 per
At
Oh,
least.
yeah.
sewer
Right.
increase.
Mhm.
And then project 4, which started construction back in 2006. This is kind of, you guys are very aware of the High Point situation there. Looks like we're currently working on a study there. We'll have the internal and external evaluations done there on the pipeline infrastructure and see what kind of condition that's in, if we can accept it or not.
Yeah, they're actually looking at moving forward in that with the contractor digging the holes in November sometime, and then in December after Thanksgiving, actually the pipe tool going in.
Yeah.
We're going to keep Chris's team updated, and of course update the board as soon as we have something concrete on schedule.
It's interesting that they are doing that at that period of time when if they waited a couple, 2 or 3 months, they could potentially be out of the weather.
Well, I think they want to get going on it. So
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
when we
not-
get their answers probably.
well, we'll see. Everything with a lot of developers is a hurry up and wait. So it's either they need it now or they don't need it. So.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just the projects in the construction. In design, so we know that we've got a lot of projects in the pipeline here that are vamping up and should be starting construction this fiscal year. I'll start here, number 5 here is the Montiel 6-lot subdivision. There we are. Yeah, 6 units going in, 3 of them are actually complete. They've been complete for a few years. What they're doing is they're just adding 3 additional units.
Was that in that area where those older homes, did they tear down homes or?
Yeah, there's a few older tear downs in it. As a matter of fact, a little further in the list here, you'll see St. Paul Drive is another example of that, where there's an existing house that's going to get demoed, and they're going to make 4 new lots out of it. Yeah, they're doing a lot of that out there now.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but quite a few projects.
Yeah, we have a few projects out there that we never really expected them to move forward on, but they seem to be moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're kind of building it out to the approved density now. San Elijo Town Center, the phase 2, so we go way down
Way down south,
here.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Here we are. So they're trying to use every square inch possible in San Elijo Hills.
Yeah,
So this is a multifamily and commercial mixed use project. They'll bring in 12 dwelling units. So that project is moving along actually pretty well right now. So that'll probably be complete. This might actually get complete before the end of the year. Old California Restaurant Row. So you probably saw they're doing some demo on the western side of that now. Their plan is to add several new buildings on the back side of it.
Well, where are you gonna park?
I know.
It's already tough to park.
I didn't know
asking
that
the same
Buffalo
question.
Wild Wings there, you can't.
oh,
park.
yeah.
Yeah. I was asking if part of their improvements are going to be to put a parking garage in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Sit down,
They're-
they said
they're
they
not
meet
gonna
the,
do it.
they meet the parking criteria of the
It's
city.
a nightmare trying to
yeah.
park
It's like let's wait till a Friday night.
Yeah.
We'll see if you can meet those
You're
parking
parking over there at the-
criteria.
Backside of the.
Yeah. So this is a pure expansion project here. So there will be some additional capacity once those buildings actually do go in. Number 8 here is the Palisades Estates on the northern part. I'm starting to fear for this a little bit. It's been quite a while since we've last heard from them. Their plan check was complete almost a year ago, and about after a year, we kind of take things off the list a little bit.
Yeah.
We say, hey, we'll need to take another look at your plans and your study.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really set vacant for quite a while. But that would be about 19 units here, and they'd all be on septic, so no sewer attached to those.
Mm-hmm.
Green Storage is off the Interstate 15, between that and Center City Parkway. So that's going to be a brand new storage facility. Dr. Raj, a medical doctor, is kind of your lead developer on that. This project has taken a while, but it is finally getting close to having this plan check complete, luckily. This project has been going on for about a year in the plan check phase. Development and medical degrees don't always mix. That's kind of a lesson I'm taking away from this
Not
one.
a prerequisite.
No.
With this project, this is entitled, ready to go, so if he wanted to come in and pay the lower fee, he could,
Yeah.
Yeah.
entitled to do
They
that.
sure could.
They're annexed, they're in the district.
They're not even required to be annexed. This is one, you can see our sphere of influence here. This is
Uh-huh.
one of the rare areas that
Yeah,
we
we
actually
actually
get
go
to
east
the
of the-
Yeah.
east of the
Yeah,
15.
in general, we're on the
Yeah.
other side of the 15. but
Yeah.
Yeah,
We meander across right away.
I think this is like the only area that we're east of the 15. So that just happens to fit right in
Isn't
that
that near,
pocket.
it's near that turnout, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be an RV kind of park, like basically trails and
Mm-hmm.
camper hookups and. So. But it's
Yeah,
only,
well,
only water
yeah.
for us, though, right?
Yeah, that's just water for us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we do not have any sewer infrastructure anywhere close to this. I think this might actually go on septic
Yeah. It's a
out
large
here.
septic.
Yeah, because I don't
Mhm.
think there's any sewer out there. Okay, number 10 here, the Ray Court development here. This guy's finally getting wrapped up, and it's about ready to start construction. 14 single-family dwelling units going in this here. Number 11, I'll actually do number 11 and number 15 together here. The Murai Development's number 11. So that's about 89 single-family dwelling units going in. They're progressing on their plan checks. There are a few plan checks in. San Marcos Highlands they're getting their plan checks started as well. So yeah, that guy's moving forward. San Marcos Highlands, that's the 189 single-family dwelling unit development there. So those will be some big, exciting projects here. This will keep our inspection staff real busy once this gets off the ground.
There's some significant infrastructure, just pipes though, and an interconnection with VID.
So that one's before LAFCO, right?
That was
This
before
next
last
one.
week,
Right.
on the 7th or
The
something like
7th,
that.
yeah,
But I talked to Matt Simmons, and he told me that the County Board of Supervisors, Diane Jacob, just torpedoed it to go back for more review with something with the county.
Oh, really?
So even if they passes LAFCO, they have another hurdle potentially. That's what he indicated. I don't know where it ended up.
Wow.
Yeah, but you can see right here, all the annexation here that, you know, they gotta go to LAFCO for, that they're responsible for. Sunrise Oryx is off here in the city of Escondido. So this is a proposed 192 multifamily dwelling units, pretty high density developments. We would serve water, I believe it's,
We would serve sewer. It's Rincon.
I'm sorry, Rincon would do water and we would provide wastewater to this. Their plan check is basically to do about a 900-foot sewer extension, so that we can get
Along
there.
Barham.
Yep, yeah, along Barham. And then this is part of the sewer that'll gets across the freeways.
So that's that big empty lot when you turn up.
Yeah, it's next to an industrial
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
like a couple parcels there side by side. One is technically was in the city of Escondido, one was in the city of San Marcos.
And one's in the county.
So they had to do a lot of interagency coordination. At one point, Escondido looked like they might just sewer the project, and then we took a hard look at it, and we decided we could do it. Our infrastructure should be able to handle that, no problem. Okay, St. Paul Drive, like I said, this is one of those small, little Montiel area subdivisions here. Existing house on a larger lot, gonna get demoed, subdivided into 4 new houses going in. Orchard Hills subdivision is a 20 lot subdivision. I just met with these people this morning, actually. This is just 20 single family lots here. There's a bit of a sewer issue, just because the sewer's kind of at capacity, so we're kind of working with the developer right now on, hey, you replace what we call the more constrained, more impacted portion of the
There's a-
sewer now,
There's a bottleneck.
and then the rest here will kind of take, other developments will kind of take care of as they come on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that sewer is like, it's already at capacity now, and then you look way out in the future, it's really a problem.
Yeah, we're actually trying to work with them, saying, hey, okay, you know, we have a sewer that's basically at capacity or near capacity now that we can continue the whole thing. However, this one section is the only section that really is bad, and then future developments we can do piecemeal it all together. They don't want to do anything, so but you know, we're gonna stick to our guns. So
So those are the projects that are in plan check. or
So on that,
completed plan check.
excuse me, on that
Mhm.
one, how much are you proposing they do?
About 255 feet of 8-inch sewer expansion to a 15-inch. They'd have to remove and re-pour 2 manholes on either side as well. Because those are only 4-foot manholes. With the larger sewer, they'd have to do 5-foot manholes.
Rob, how aware are the people in the plan check category of the fee increases?
Extremely.
They all
Every
know about it.
every single person we talk to wants to talk about that, and they want to know about the timing. And of course, it's, you know, you've seen the staff report here.
Well, how many are 90 days away or less from getting approved?
Well, from us, I would say the vast majority of them. You could make a case that just about everyone on this plan check list
within
is
60 days.
is in striking distance where, hey, if they wanted to come in and pay their fee within the next few days, their project's probably far enough along they could do it.
Oh,
Yeah, we would be comfortable enough.
Yeah, it's the
Where we could sign
planning
them off.
jobs that a lot of them don't have, they don't have their entitlements, some of them aren't annexed, you know, so, everybody except for portions of the Highlands, cause they're not annexed yet, you know, would be probably eligible within the, plan check.
Right, so depending on what LAFCO does
Yeah.
on the 7th.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
there might be
So
a
do
position.
people have a clear idea, say that if they're in plan check, then they could potentially prepay? I mean, is it pretty clear to people?
Yeah, so what we typically do, and it's been past practice before, is if there's a implementation period, the project managers, the plan checkers contact all their project stakeholders, you know, the developers, and say, hey, this is the implementation, you have until this day, and they remind them. They either send out an email or call them, and then everybody's made aware. We don't do that until we know the implementation time. However, because of the unknown, they've been asking Rob and his staff constantly. So
Right.
they're more than aware of it now. But if the board so chooses to have an implementation period of 30 days or 60 days, then once that date's set, our staff reaches out and lets them know.
But as far as where they need to be in the process, it's pretty clear.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
basically they have to
can't
be.
be in planning and not annexed
Yeah.
yet, kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to be
Right.
annexed and entitled, essentially. So if they're still
yeah,
going,
I mean, and that's, Jim's contacted me about the Highlands Project, and he's
Okay.
going, you know, I'm
yeah,
supposed to get approved on the 7th, but he didn't mention this little obstacle.
well, it may not be. They're working through it.
Oh, okay.
So that's,
But, you know, he's hoping we can get
yeah.
90 days out of the implementation date. So I
Well, if it
said,
gets annexed on the 7th, he only needs a week.
Yeah.
well, but he's indicated that there are others that are right there at that same cusp. And,
So
Yeah, but
our
those aren't out of our districts.
yeah.
yeah,
Those guys are all annexed here, so that's
So
that's
should
not
be
the,
okay.
okay.
the obstacle.
And
point.
most of the, like Rob indicated, that the ones that are already in plan check, they usually don't get into a phase of plan check unless they already have their entitlements at the city. Because you got, you know, they have to have a tentative map or something
Right.
entitled
And-
before they're going to start spending money on
And it's the
plan check.
entitlement phase that is the line, not your plan check.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They could come in and, you know, typically it was done in the past where they came in at construction agreement and paid everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's right when they were done with plan checking, but they could,
Mhm.
there's nothing that precludes them in our ordinances or practices to pay once they're entitled. Like if, you know, just think about it, if you owned a piece of property and you were gonna build a house on it, you could go in and pay for the fee for the water and sewer connection, but wait 5, 6, 7, 8 years before you build your house. That's okay, cause it goes with the land, it adds value to the land.
Mhm.
Well, you know, the bureaucratic concern, I mean, in the Highlands case, I mean, they're ready to go except for the
Yeah.
LAFCO, and if LAFCO throws a boomerang at them, it could be pretty heavily expended, so,
And we don't know how long that delay may.
yeah, exactly, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
But you also gotta remember, you know, Highlands has been through our process. It's,
Oh.
you know, I started in 2005 and we were talking to Highlands about they're gonna annex within the next year.
Right,
So I've been hearing it since
Yeah.
2005.
yeah, no, they've been working at it for that long,
Oh, we
and
got delayed
they've
with the
been,
recession.
Well, it got delayed with the recession,
Right.
and then they on purpose requested a extension to their LAFCO process because they weren't ready to spend the money at one point because they couldn't move forward, and then it got re-upped at the with their you know whatever was going on with their map got re-upped at the county level.
So I don't know if you two have seen the staff report for the item, but it's kind of a soft recommendation that the new fees become effective December 1st. And that's only because that's kind of been our past practice, a 60-day
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Obviously, the board can do it effective immediately or whenever else you want to, but we threw in the date of December 1st.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
you know, no matter what date we vote on, there's gonna be projects that say, you know what, we're really close, but it's not our fault, we're.
Yeah,
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 I mean,
and, you know,
so,
that's whatever we
Whatever
decide,
date,
is-
there's gonna be those projects.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be a winner and a loser.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that there, Director LFR. One good example here is probably the University Villages project here off Discovery Street. That's a project that we know that they're working on their plans. We haven't seen a set of plans from them yet. We've done some studies for them, but
They're not
this is John
entitled to
Vance's project there, and I believe
whose project?
Shea Homes.
it's
Yeah.
Shea Homes there. Yeah, John Vance.
Well, yeah,
So-
but they're entitled already, right?
No, They're going through an SPA with the city.
Oh, sweet
Is the
Jesus.
city making them put through Discovery in conjunction? with
No. Oh, sorry.
Part of it.
Discovery's going to be a wraparound street that connects up to Discovery going south, or
Barham.
Barham, sorry, and
Mhm.
then it'll continue down what's proper Discovery, and it'll come wrap around to
It's not gonna
Echo or whatever.
Yeah,
Echo Lane.
it's got this little curve
Yeah.
to it.
But
Yep.
but it's not. But there's no bridge going across Grand. They axed that project. So
Yeah, but
Right.
So what's it gonna do?
So it's gonna kind of, it almost follows the property line.
Yeah,
It
'cause
kinda
it's gonna tie into
curls
Barham.
around
yeah, it's
here.
gonna tie
Yeah,
into Barham
exactly.
and then
Big
tie into
curve right
Discovery.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, the bridge here has got axe. That's no longer.
There's an
going
Echo
there.
Lane in there too somewhere.
Yeah,
So
it's up here.
Yeah.
It's like right here.
it comes across it. Yeah.
yeah, but
Mhm.
if that's getting an SDP,
They're changing their entitlements to get more units, less commercial.
Yeah,
So
but-
they want to do it because they're more profitable for them. Obviously.
yeah, but I mean, unless they're on the jocket right now, they'll
Yeah.
never make, even if it goes to 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do
Never
January
happened.
1, they're not gonna make it.
Yeah, they're gonna make it, so
Yeah.
they don't make it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna be on the other side of that, for sure.
Yeah. So as far as the other planning.
But let me just ask, because you just said they are entitled for one thing, but they're changing that.
Yeah, they don't really have full entitlement. They have the general plan and
Oh.
the old SPA, right? But what they've submitted is not an entitled project, so they don't have an entitled project. They haven't submitted the SPA and said, hey, here's my plan A. I'll build this, or I could build this. They haven't
Yeah.
done that. They said, I want to build something different.
Okay.
So
All right.
the whole University District SPA has actually changed,
Mhm.
as you probably are aware.
Huh.
Along with the creek, and a lot of them are just waiting for the new general plan to take care of it.
Yeah.
But that's 2 to 3 years away.
And it just also on the planning side, you got this series of projects, the Richmar SPA. These guys are all lined up. They're all waiting on funding basically because there's a lot of mixed use, a lot of the
Tax breaks,
affordable housing projects here. So they're lined up. They're waiting for their money to come in. Once that happens, we expect to see these guys in plan check.
And they're all waiting for that 9%.
But are
whatever.
these guys entitled?
Yes.
I think they are
Oh, okay,
entitled.
so-
Yes, technically.
Yeah, they're just waiting for
If
their.
they got the money, they can come in.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
probably don't have the money.
And they probably don't have the money.
I'm seriously doubtful they would.
Yeah, because I don't think
Right.
the banks are going to release the money until they
Yeah.
get until they get that tax break
Yeah.
for disadvantaged housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of everything in a nutshell here. Newlin Sierra is quiet here. We don't expect to hear from them till probably after the referendum vote there
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
March of 2020.
We'll probably get dragged into
And then-
their lawsuits.
Yeah,
So.
we'll be right back in the fireplace.
Oh, good.
And then we got this Mercy Hill Retreat
Oh, those are
project
crazy
going in
old,
here.
couple of crazy old ladies.
That's definitely not entitled.
Definitely not entitled. Is correct.
So,
Yeah. But the good news is they're probably going to only start with the garden, so it's
Yeah.
going to be a pretty small beginning for them. And so I don't even know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
so just a quick information on this. Sooner or later we're going to be doing a new urban water management plan here pretty soon, and then sooner or later they're going to be coming in for the verification study, the WSV, which is what Latham Watkins tried to sue us on last
Yeah,
time.
right.
So at that point, hopefully with our new urban water management plan, and when we do the WSV, whether we get everything perfect, there's a good chance we'll get sued again.
Yeah.
So,
You got nothing better to do, and guys got deep pockets.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So are we gonna change anything about this urban water management plan?
Well,
Well,
we're gonna have
versus
to
the last
we're gonna
time?
have to see what the state requirements are
Yeah.
because I would suspect the state's gonna make some modifications to their handbook based on everything that kind of came out there in the
Yeah.
news reports and everything
That's what
last
I'm
time.
wondering.
You know what's funny is how we were reporting everything pre and the other
Pre-
agency were including conservation.
Yeah.
A lot of states' comments were you're supposed to be reporting pre-conservation, so you guys were all doing it. You know how I said we're the only agency doing it wrong. We were one of the only agencies doing it right according to state comments. So,
Yeah.
but the new urban water management plan for 2020 has a lot of different requirements. It's almost a different document, to be honest. I mean, a lot of it's the same, but it's almost a different document because a lot of the water use restriction standards are being thrown in there. That wasn't in 2010 and 2015. You know, the SB 77 was that big issue, and now that's not even the issue anymore. Everybody's meeting it, so we have to find a new issue. So.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a vote.
Oh, that's kidding this stole, huh?
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Item next, District Solar.
Yeah, we made great progress on this one, so James will tell you how close we are to the next milestone.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
yes, the next off ramp or the
Yes.
next on ramp, however you want to state it, right?
Good, good.
Okay, so we obtained competitive price proposals from qualified firms. Basically, we selected proposals. We went out with a full RFP. Terra Verde, our Bruce, is our basic consultant and program manager for it. They led the effort the whole way, and we as staff learned and followed along. And we used qualified pricing. So basically, we set up the criteria for the firms to go. So we had basically respondents, the information. We had, you can see, 5 respondents there.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 5 respondents, Terra Verde did an analysis, and this is what they evaluated. Obviously, the cost, from a cost benefit standpoint, sizing, financial wherewithal. So, are they partnered with a sound financial backer that's known in the industry? Because the last thing we want to do is get somebody on board, and their financial backer goes bankrupt, and now we have a system that's unmaintained, right? Obviously, their experience, the compliance in the agreement. So we had an existing power purchase agreement. Did they comply with it? Did they mark it up to what level? Everybody marked it up, by the way, but to what level? And then did they add any value? How were they realistic about it? And how's their project plan? So, and then we look for consistencies. And we found, basically, did they do a complete engineering? We expected a certain amount of engineering in their proposal to so we can look at it and say that looks sound. Basically their electrical drawings look sound. They weren't just line drawings. They looked at loads. They looked like how to tie into the SGE program system. And then did they attend a site walkthrough? It was a requirement. So if some people didn't, they tried to propose. We threw them out. Did they provide all these different things? Whether it was safety plan, did they confirm that they have the resources?
So people were told they had to attend, and
Yeah.
they didn't, and tried to submit anyway.
Well, they asked if they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't actually spend the time to submit. They asked if they could. Terra Verde said no. Then they went around Terra Verde to ask me,
Yeah.
and I said no. And then they asked for my general manager. And I gave it. I said you could have it, but he's gonna say
It'd have
no.
been easier to just attend.
Come
the
to
site.
walk.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I forgot about it. I got stuck in traffic.
Oh
My
yeah,
dog
yeah.
ate my
Dog
homework.
ate my homework.
So-
Yeah.
So then, obviously we found some differences. Some of them provided full electrical plans. Somebody provided only single line diagrams. They varied. Okay, the performance guarantees in our RFP were 95% after 25 years, something like that. And we had a range between 80 and 95, depending on the respondent. How much they redline our power purchase agreement? Some of them were significant. Some of them was complete. They said we don't like it. Here, use our agreement. Obviously, that wasn't. We came back and said no. You need to redline ours. That was a requirement. And then different levels of experience with the project. Some of them had reservoir, putting ballast on top of reservoir projects. Some of them had very little project experience, and that was all taken into consideration. So here's what lift station 1 on, and I want to point this out because this 600 south facing modules takes up almost a significant amount of usable space at lift station 1.
Where's
So-
San Marcos Boulevard?
Just
Right
right
there,
bottom
right there,
there.
where there it is.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is quite a big area, to be honest. But this area is kind of a drainage area, so there's a slope that goes down to it. So it's not really flat and usable. So most of the flat area is here. When we looked at, and this is important because we're looking at this area for sepsis hall, and we're looking at expanding this out a little bit. And these panels take up a significant amount of use of this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
There is room for both. These are low level panels. They're a couple feet off the ground only.
Yep.
So they're easier to maintain. But there is room for both, but it does take up the real estate.
Are they fixed or do they move?
They're fixed. These are all fixed. So next one is Twin Oaks, and you can see.
Oh yeah. Oh my.
So this is almost a 1.9 megawatt system. Okay, so this is a large system, 4,800 south facing. Again, somewhere between 12 and 18 inches off the ground. Most of them are ballasted with a racking system, so they're not. We only give them a limit. They could go down only 2.5 feet. Because after that, they get into some select material for drainage and stuff for the tank, and we don't want to mess with that. It's an engineered fill. We don't want to mess with it. And then we got like 18 to 24 inches of what I call topsoil coverage, and so they're kind of in that area. So they're looking at that type of system, and they had to leave access to all of our our vents and ports, and most of these walkways in between are like 10 feet or 8 feet. So it's enough for us to get vehicles down, at least some of the wider ones, to get through it, and we will find it, of course. So we interviewed. So we had 4 out of 5 respondents were sent requests for clarifications, and based on that, we interviewed 3 on 9/19, just a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and then we asked for best and final offers after the interviews, and some clarifying questions were answered, on 9/26, and basically the district has selected a single respondent. So now we're at the point where we need to select a single person. So what we got was there's kind of down to 2. REC Solar had a higher cost, but they had some assumptions. So we kind of asked them the best and final offer. Hey, can we lock down your assumptions, and can you lower the cost? Are you willing to do that? And they said, well, we may lower the cost, but we're not going to lock down our assumptions. We're not going to take the risk. And no, we're not going to lower the costs. So we're not going to take any risk on the cost. And we want to keep our assumptions open, so this way we could it's all about the racking system and how they mount it. So they want to do a process where they could go out and get a racking system, and we'll blindly approve it, and they said they may pass along the savings to us. May. So we didn't like that answer. And then the second respondent, PCI, they're the cheapest. And then when I say cheapest, what I'm talking about is a combined rate of 8.08 cents for REC. Now REC is well known. They've done jobs. They had the least amount of markups on our power purchase agreement. They guaranteed a 95% rate of return based on our conditions. But they want to get savings, and they don't want to share the savings. And while everybody else engineered their racking system, said this is what we're going to use, and the other respondents use what Tierra Verde considers the best in the industry for that system. Well, this is an unknown. So
we did we require
yes,
the
we
system?
Did.
Okay.
Yes, we did. PCI is at 7.27 cents per kilowatt. So they're quite a bit lower instead of 8.9?
Per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of
It's
8.9.
9 cents, really.
Yeah. So really, you're
8.99.
going from 9 cents to 7.2 cents. Quite a bit lower. They did the most upfront engineering on it. They laid out the best racking system, but their red lines on our PPA are quite extensive. They're kind of an unknown when it comes to how long we'll negotiate the agreement, and they also only guarantee a 90% return, and they want to do a 5-year rolling average on energy consumption instead of our conditions from basically here's the day one start, and after X amount of years you still get 95% return guarantee, and they want to do here's a 5-year average, 90%, kind of a rolling, and that's significant. So we have to do the math on that. The other thing is there's a 30% at the end of this year. Your 30% credit, if you put solar, you get 30% credit.
Yeah.
Runs out. So PCI says we need a notice received by November 1st, or sorry, by maybe end of November. I gotta find that before they get that 30%. So we don't have to finalize an agreement with them, but we need a 30%. While REC said, as long as we get an agreement or a notice received by the end of the calendar year, we guarantee the 30%, which affects the rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were the original? You said they were lower than the original estimates. What was the estimate for the?
We don't have a cost estimate on Burnett. It's only a kilowatt hour estimate.
Right. So what did you?
PCI didn't change their estimates in best final offer. It's 7.2 cents. They locked it. The only thing they did that was different is they said this estimate is based on both projects moving forward. So if you cut one project out, like if you cut the lift station project out, then you'd have to renegotiate their rate on them. While the other company, REC, gave you a separate rate for the lift station and a separate rate for Twin Oaks. So if you cut one out, you still had a guaranteed rate of the other one.
So that original estimate, is that Terra Verde's?
The original estimate?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
terrible.
so what was theirs?
8 cents.
Oh, 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They gave a range actually. They gave 6 to 8 cents as a range. So, but they use 8 as a worst case scenario. But I think they did when they showed their presentation. They showed numbers that were as low as 6 cents on the $2 million savings. That's what you're asking, right? About?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terra Verde's versus
Yeah.
what the
But before we move forward to the board, Terra Verde has to now do. Terra Verde has to now do a separate actuarial based on the new numbers.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the 90% rate of return based on a 5-year rolling average of generation there's an assumption there that will, you know, because even though you're getting less per kilowatt, you're also potentially getting a lot less kilowatt hours. So then
Right.
it may have cost them. So even though it's not as simple as taking 9 cents minus 7.2 cents and timesing it by the kilowatt hours you use, because of that 90% rate of return based on the 5-year average compared to a 95% at the end of 25 years.
Yeah.
So it makes it more complicated.
So James, that fourth bullet says the district has selected a single responder.
Yeah, the district has selected. So they selected, and that's why I wanted to give you updates. So I got an email today.
Okay.
So this is hot off the presses. So what they basically said is we want to go forward to REC and try and get them to lower the rate because they have the best guarantee. They're the easiest to work with. They're a proven record. REC said we're not going to lower the rate, but we still want to go out and shop around a racking system, which is, besides the panels, the most expensive thing. And we may or may not share the savings with you. So they didn't like that. So then they said we need to go with PCI. So PCI is who Terra Verde is recommending going with.
Okay.
Okay? It's not who the board is. They put this together, so they just kind of put this together how they want to do it. So now what they're looking for is direction to go forward with starting a negotiation process with PCI to see if they can nail that down.
So PCI doesn't want to meet our percentage, the 95%.
Yeah,
So
they
if
want
we
to
did,
reach 90.
can we do some kind of a risk analysis that says, hey, if they only give us 90%, but they're at the lower cost,
Yep.
and we have to buy more power from SDG&E?
That's what Terra Verde's doing now. So
Okay,
Terra
that's what
Verde,
they're
so we're gonna be ready to come to the board, probably the second board meeting in October, with the full analysis done, and will be a presentation by Terra Verde that says, based on going with PCI, here's your range of savings, and based on going with REC, here's what your savings look like, because that's kind of locked.
Is PCI, does it have two proposals or just all in one?
It's all in one. They're the ones that if you decide that you want to use Lift Station 1 for something else, then you have to renegotiate them. They're an all-in-one.
Package deal.
It's a package deal.
Yeah, because one of the things that, well, I was going to talk to you again about it at the managers meeting, but, you know, I would like to have our consultant that's working on the 32-acre project look at really what the viability of doing something
Yeah.
of a development on the 2.5 acres and putting the units on top of the development.
Yeah, and that's in the provisions. We can relocate the units on top of it. It's just you probably won't get the square footage.
Right.
Or it'd be hard to get the square
Oh,
footage.
yeah.
You probably could. It'd just be a denser setup.
Well,
you know?
yeah, exactly. And but, you know, that's going to take some discussion with the consultant,
Yeah.
discussion with the managers, you guys, the board, everybody to make that decision. And then does that,
Actually, that'd be a condition of development from us. So it'd be pretty simple, right? You say, okay, you want to develop our property. One of the conditions is you got to relocate all these
Yeah, solar array.
solar
Mhm.
array
So where would they go?
on top of the buildings.
On
and
top of
become-
the
and
buildings.
become
Where
parking-
would the buildings go?
and-
oh, the
and-
buildings
Right.
would be, you know,
Around the perimeter,
standard
probably?
industrial, commercial
Oh, I see.
development
I-
for the whole
I
two
gotcha.
balance of the acreage.
And even probably carports for parking, I imagine, to get them
You
all.
know,
to
I mean,
work.
all of the,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
it's an asset that I believe has more value than just
Yeah.
the place for holding
Well,
solar panels.
You remember when this kind of got brought up with the board a while ago? Director Snell brought it up, and one of the things I was saying is, when the city widens that road, it's going to create a chain reaction on that lift station that requires a significant amount of work, like $2 million of work just to move sewer lines around. It may be an opportunity at that point, since you're going to spend $2 million, or somebody's going to spend, the city would have to spend $2 million on the site moving sewer around, or hey, why don't we relocate that pump station? The city give us money towards relocating that pump station to the back
of the site.
of the site,
Oh,
and then
North
that,
side, the north end.
the
of
north
site.
side of the site right
yeah,
here,
back up
and
here.
then you could use the frontage of the site for commercial at that point.
Yeah.
But so sitting on that property over time may give us a better opportunity, but the city's 10 years away from doing that. So,
Yeah.
but still, you can be patient.
I don't think I got 10 years left. I'm a little bit impatient.
But we'll call it the Hernandez
We
Legacy
don't care what
site.
we call it if I don't get to go to the ribbon cutting. It's rotten.
You don't want
Man, it's all about that photo op.
Yeah.
you don't want something named
It's
after
in the casket in.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for Jim.
We'll put the ribbon and we'll put the casket with a box cover mounted right on
Well,
it.
think positively. Maybe you'll just be in a wheelchair. Yeah. You're so negative.
That's my Glenn. That's it.
Jim, there's always cryogenics.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
They work for Han Solo.
Well, there's a couple of things to think about in that,
Yeah. So really, there's two things. There's no action from the committee that we're looking for. Is we're going to be coming back to the board as early as October 16th, as late as the first meeting in November, but I'm pushing for October 16th. And the ask is probably going to be, let's go with company A or company B, and this is what the savings look like, go or no go.
Now,
That's what it's going to be.
that is going to be one or the other.
One or
not
the other.
negotiating with both, trying to get.
We've
Because-
already done that.
Yeah, we've
You've
got-
already done that, and they're both pretty firm in what they're doing.
Yeah, we get their best, last, and finals.
Okay, done with that.
And now it's here are pros and cons of each. Terra Verde will give a presentation. It'll be a little longer because Terra Verde will give a presentation. They're going
Okay.
to go over the pros and cons, and then they're going to do actuarials and say, here's what your savings, potential savings will look like with Company A, and here is an estimate of your savings range with Company B.
And the 7 to 9 cents is what it's going to cost us per panel or per
No,
kilowatt
per
panel.
kilowatt hour. Instead
Per
of buying
kilowatt hour.
expensive power from SDG&E, we'll buy a high proportion of our electricity.
And what are we
Yeah.
paying SDG&E?
Well, it depends. Our melded rates, and what is it nowadays? It's not the residential. It's much cheaper. It's like 19 cents, I think, isn't it? 19?
So we're paying them 19.
Yeah, it's
19 to
somewhere in there,
22
probably
depending
on average.
on
It's in
average,
that
yeah.
ballpark.
It's
So
not-
okay, so say we're paying them 19, and
Yeah.
instead we're going to be paying 9.
Yes.
So we're going to save 10 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yep, times 2 megawatts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Per year, essentially. But that's only on the commodity charge, right? So you're only saving that on the commodity charge. So all your other transmission charges and stuff you're still paying.
Yeah, but that 19 or 20 cent average on SDG, that's with the.
That's what I mean. So it's
That's
not
with the
yeah.
demand charge.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's not the true number. That's why they have to do the actuarial.
Mm-hmm.
Because so for this site, it's a direct savings because this is a net metering site. So what you produce there offsets it directly. But for the Twin Oaks site, that's a RESBT site or RESBCT site. So what that means to me is you basically are just getting the commodity credit. So all those demand transportation charges you're still paying. You're only getting the commodity credit because basically you can put up to 50 meters. I think it's 50 meters as credit on the commodity charge for the actual electrical, but you're not generating power here for Metal Arc, so it doesn't directly offset it completely.
Well, so we're just getting money
Well, it
from there.
offsets the 50 worst accounts.
Yes, then that's what
Yeah,
we're
those
doing.
are-
Yeah. So Metal Arcs are worst, right? So that's going to be a given.
And those can change, I think, annually. I think you can change that list.
You can change those annually, yeah.
Educate me on the money we receive from the energy that we produce.
The money that we pay for the energy that is produced is cheaper than the money that we will pay SCG, is what it comes down to.
So it's the savings that is
Yeah, it's a
the
delta.
benefit.
Yep, the delta's the benefit. So there's
Mhm.
no return on investment because theoretically you start saving from day one
Cause
Right.
you don't own it.
because you don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's we're not putting, $10 million in or $5 million or whatever in. So you have to return on it. Now, if you put money in, the rate goes down. But we chose a pure PPA because then there's no ratepayer money going out.
There's no
Right.
maintenance cost.
No maintenance.
James,
cost.
what are the performance guarantees if they don't meet the 90 or 95% production?
We still
limits?
get the delta difference in
Okay.
savings. Yeah, that's a performance guarantee.
So is there protections in the contract, say if it's PCI, if they sell this project to somebody else?
There are provisions in the contract. I'm not as familiar with them, but I saw the contract provisions that they could have to sell it. It has to be a certain rating company with a certain backing.
Yeah, that's what Rancho ran into a problem,
Yeah.
cause that happened there.
sell to
and-
a bank.
And then the ones that took it on they weren't interested in making the project work, they let it go, they didn't maintain it and got in a big fight over.
Yeah, my understanding they sold it to a bank or
Yeah,
something like that. and the
yeah, it
bank
was
is
Wells
obviously-
Fargo or
yeah.
something.
Yeah. And the bank didn't do the maintenance, or when they came out, they really didn't do proper maintenance.
Well, have we had our legal counsels review the contract? Because after the last contract debacle we've gone through, and we.
They've reviewed this contract. They work with BBK, but the final, because you got to remember if we go with PCI, their contract is so different that it's a whole new review. It's a
Well,
whole
it's
new-
whatever it
it's a whole new-
is,
yeah.
we just don't wanna have this thing come back at us like
Yeah.
we're at the bar authority
They
with.
sell.
Yeah. Alright.
So that's it. So hopefully we'll be coming to October 16th with the performas and a choice, an on ramp or an off ramp, however you want to look at it, of moving forward.
Ensure that when you show us the delta, give us a dollar number savings.
No, there will be. There will.
Yeah,
I think
so that
I think the dollar was like $2 million or something.
It's not
like
gonna
that.
be just cents per
That's all.
kilowatt.
Yeah,
hour.
yeah.
Yeah. Or when we got this done end of last week, we just didn't have the numbers yet, and
Yeah.
literally on the 26th we got the best last and final offers. So they're looking at it right now.
Okay.
And we'll try to put some summary of risk, it may not be just the biggest savings, there may be other reasons to go with somebody else because of the risks. that
Okay.
are inherent, so.
Alright, great, that's been a long time in the making, but we're almost there.
Almost there.
Oh, good, the Interceptor.
Yeah, this one's coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan,
We've
Ryan's
had-
gonna.
Look at this.
Oh, new
Alright.
guy.
Hey,
Sneaks.
I'm already doing something.
Right,
So
do a critique and.
since coming on board, we have had some recent developments with this project.
Send me an email in private. Let me know what you think. That's
Yeah. So we have a pre-bid phase update, is what we're calling it, because we are approaching bid phase in the near future. I'm just going to give you a brief summary and project corridor, schedule forecast, and a look at the budget. It's kind of taking a pulse check of this project from what's been done in the past and where we're going in the future. As I'm sure you're all well aware, the Interceptor Phase 2 project, eastern tie-in connection near via Veracruz over here, and traversing down the creekside, turning northbound on Tamarisk Lane, and then our western tie-in connection at Pacific Street or just beyond Pacific Street in proximity to Lift Station 1, which we were just talking about, the solar arrays right here.
Stop, please.
Yep.
Tamarack Lane, what?
Tamarisk.
Tamarisk. I'm lost.
Is that the tire places right there?
First.
Not
Express
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 Tire.
Tire.
Express Tires right there. Yeah. Express Tires right there. It's a paper street or technically.
Oh, it's a paper street, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Chevron right here.
Yeah.
That's
corner.
Chev, right across from
Yeah.
Chevron.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good landmark. Actually, McMar's the
It's
one
Las
next to
Posas.
it.
Where's McMar?
Yeah,
It's
that's-
McMar's
It's
right
actually
here.
Las
Yeah.
Posas over there.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, alright.
Abandoning the existing
Yes,
21-inch
all right.
sewer on McMar.
Okay,
That's
now,
part of the
yeah,
project.
cause that, right there at McMar and San Marcos Boulevard is that big, 6-story project that's been in the works for.
Yeah, that's
10 years.
that's
Main square.
the main square. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, they're redesigning it.
It's actually Yeah, it's kind of on our planning radar. They've kind of made some noise lately.
Yeah, what they're gonna do, I'm told, is instead of 2 stories of underground parking, they're gonna scrap that, put it standard parking in the center and units around it, and they think they're gonna reduce the units, but
Well, they'd
save
have to,
money.
they have 400 units in 4 acres.
500
In
units.
Yeah.
in 4 acres?
It's like 100 dwelling units an acre.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
cozy,
San Marcos.
it's cozy,
That's
but
like,
if
that's
they,
like downtown living.
yeah, that's why it's 6, but if they do
Yeah.
the parking garage in the center, it
That's
may
on
reduce
the,
it.
that's on the northeast corner?
That's sure, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right here. So
Yeah.
there's the
So-
Arco.
There's the
South-
Arco, it
It's
wraps
this
all the way
lot-
around the
yeah,
Arco,
it wraps
yeah.
around the Arco.
Uh-huh, oh, good.
All right.
And we're just wrapping up final design right now, dealing with some design issues in Tamarisk Lane right now. It's kind of the last push until we will be bid ready with the project.
So can you go back real
Yeah,
quick, Ryan?
sure.
So 2 quick things. So can you get more into detail as to how it ties in and crosses San Marcos Boulevard?
Sure.
James may need to do that.
Yeah.
Just because
Okay.
it'll be a traffic impact. I just want to make sure that the
So,
board
so just to be clear, when we get down to it, we'll obviously be putting information out, but it's night work. So it's all of San Marcos Boulevard is going to be conditioned night work from the city. We're probably across the straight or a slight angle, but we have 2 routes. We're either going to go along this basically shoulder and take out all the the eastbound lanes, and then move traffic over into the westbound lane. So it'll be one way each way. Night work again, so
Uh-huh.
like 10 p.m. Or the other option, and there's options in the bid, is to go across to the north side and go down the north corridor, because we have a corridor on the south side of the road and a corridor on the north side of the road. The reason why we bid it both ways is we if we go to the north side, it creates an advantage for the city in the future if they have to move our lift station, because what happens is there's a big box culvert coming off this Los Posas culvert.
Right.
And the culvert's still like this. If we go up north side, we can raise the pipe by about 2/10, and just that 2/10 allows us to move facilities here without having to move a lot of pipe. So I mean, they'd have to move the pipe. They'd have to redo the pipe there. Basically, if we move that pipe up, it costs the city maybe an extra $120,000-$200,000. They would reimburse us. And it would save them $1 million on future relocation at
Because you'd be at a higher elevation.
yeah. However, even if they don't decide to, we still may do it. We still may go north, even if the city says no, because it provides a better product for us. We'd probably just do a drop into that manhole on the other side of the Los Posas culvert, but it gives us more flexibility if we need to. So we may go north either way.
But- And you're gonna be in the street either way,
You're
not
gonna be in the street either way. Yeah,
you
there's-
can't go on the other side into the dirt.
No. There's more room where you're in the kind of the bike lane / sidewalk. But you got to remember, you have a 12-foot wide excavator that's straddling this thing. You're shutting it down.
Yeah.
There's just
no,
nothing
I-
we can do.
I just,
So, but it's gonna be night work, and we're gonna be working with Chris's staff on messaging when this happens. Obviously, Glenn will be aware and let the board aware. But yeah, we'll be making a mess out there, and at night work, you're talking about putting 1 stick a day in, or 1 stick a night, 2 sticks a night, because we're also pretty deep.
The other issue is there's a water authority line in here, and I understand that the water authority crews were out there the other day
Right here.
excavating.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing. Are they potholing their line or?
My understanding, I've been told they're puddling their line, so we basically what happened is the water authority said that you need to do A, B, C, D, and we said we have prior rights, and the
No.
water authority said, oh, you have prior rights.
Nobody has prior rights in
Yeah,
us.
so but we do. We have prior rights. So we confined our construction corridor to our 20-foot easement, or maybe 30-foot at that point, our 30-foot easement. So we're gonna go. So we're kind of wide. We're 60 to 70 feet wide with temporary construction. And when we get to the water authority corridor, we're gonna neck down to 30 feet, because if we don't, there is a pile of things they want us to do.
Yeah.
But if we stay within our 30 feet, we just have to protect their facilities.
We don't wanna give them any leverage over
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So they're probably double checking.
Not
to
that
make
we
sure.
don't work well with the water.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
So that's kind of, we made that decision just like 2 weeks ago, or
Yeah.
less, or 3 weeks ago. So that's probably, what I've been told is they're double checking to make sure that our drawings are reflecting their aqueduct
Their
correctly.
reality.
But I didn't know they were out there,
Yeah.
so they didn't tell me that they're going out.
I actually heard from Director Martin, he said he was driving along Las Posas, and there's a bunch of water authority trucks there, and he said that they looked like they had some kind of backhoe or excavator out in that
So
area.
do they have a project, or are they just locating it?
I don't, that I didn't know, I was
for
wondering,
this?
My understanding, they told me that they're going to double check to make sure that we're showing their aqueduct at the right elevation. But they never told me when they're doing it, so
Yeah.
my guess is that's what they're doing, but
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
Cause they're typically not in that area.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the interruption, go ahead.
No problem at all. Looking at the schedule forecast going forward, recent developments on this as well, and I just wanna highlight, we kinda have two trains in parallel with the CM contract, getting a construction manager and inspection on board, and also the construction contract, going out to bid. So we were able to get, the advertisement out for the CM contract in September. We are gonna facilitate information requests and meeting with different CM firms through October, into October. While at the same time, we're gonna advertise the construction contract in October. The CM proposals evaluation, we expect in that October-November timeframe. While at the same time, bid opening should occur in November, for the construction contract. The award for the CM contract will come November, December, and then award for construction contract will kind of be on the tail end of that in December. So all said and done, by the new year, we should have contracts awarded, and we'll be ready to begin construction in the time frame of February 2020, and it's a 10-month duration. We expect to end in November.
And
2020.
this is our biggest job that we've sent out in quite a long time, so
Yeah.
this will be a major effort.
Is there a cost for the CM award in the November, December, and the beginning of construction?
We're getting to the
Oh,
ta-da
Next
moment.
slide.
Yeah, next slide.
So, budget update, well, original project budget is 7.5 million, and currently we don't have final design documents yet, but we're extremely close, and the latest update on the engineer's estimate of probable construction cost is sitting at 6.25 million. That is subject to change, and we'll get around to the conservative nature of some of these dollar amounts. But factoring in a 5% contingency, that gets us closer, over $6.5 million. Planning design, bid phase services, already under contract with Kennedy Jenks at $485,000. A small line item of $10,000 for miscellaneous items, environmental geotech. Our staff overhead throughout planning and design over the last roughly 12 years.
Since 2008, so this is all the phases that have already been built also.
Yeah, so $710,000 on that, and then construction phase services from Kenny Jenks already under contract, $80,000. The items in blue are estimates. So CM and inspection contract, which will be coming in, we anticipate that to be in the range of $350,000. And then our estimate for construction phase services for staff, including inspection, is $280,000, bringing our total to just south of 8.5 million. Would produce a budget shortage of better part of $1 million.
Let's round down to 900.
But a lot of that depends on, the conservative nature of how close these numbers are to reality, and where the bids come in.
Yeah, obviously the big dog there is the engineer's construction estimate. If it comes in anywhere close to that, that's going to be controlling, because the CM may be a little higher, maybe a little lower. We may be off by some percentage, but we're not going to be off by a factor on an estimate on that, and we're not going to be off by a factor on our staff and overhead. So it really matters. If we get a $5.5 million job in, it's going to make a significant difference in that shortfall. But it looks like we're going to have a shortfall, and the engineer's estimate went up almost $1 million. Okay, so I mean that's the better part of it from the previous estimate that we got
That was from how long?
about a little less than a year ago. So
Wow.
yeah, so it went up about $1 million, and you know the city reimbursement portion is only like 100,000. And that's what I mean. Even if they don't choose it, we may still go there because I think it's a better project and it's better for the district also. But you know that really it's 100,000, still 100,000, but it's not a significant issue when it comes to the budget. The budget is going to be hurt by the main construction dollar cost.
Who's
Oh,
the project manager for Kennedy Gym?
Sarah's last name.
Williams?
Yeah, Sarah Williams.
Williams.
Yeah.
And what office is she in?
She's in the San Diego office now. She used to be in the Irvine office. But you gotta remember, this project has been in existence on our books with Kennedy Jenks since 1988 in its current form. So I've dealt with 5 different project managers. The main project manager that did the main design was Kathy Haynes, but she left when the city basically had a different corridor. And actually, what's not reflected here, to be honest, is there's about $150,000 in reimbursement because the city had us move the corridor, design it, and then had us move it back and design it. So these numbers are, again, that 150 doesn't quite make the dent in the thing. But so when we have the CM award, you're not going to see a budget ask. You're going to see the number, but you're not going to see a budget ask. But when we have the construction award, then we'll make sure we get the proper reimbursements in, whether it's, you know, the city's going to reimburse for that northern alignment and the existing agreement where we have roughly 100 and, you know, a little less than 130,000 of city reimbursement, which we've already received 75,000 of it. So you're going to see that also, and then we'll outline it all, and then we'll get into a hard ask with real numbers. These are a lot of estimates right now.
Okay.
How much of this is in the cap fee?
Is it 60 or 70%? It's 21 to 42. So yeah, you can do the area calc.
No, I'm gonna need more in a calculator for that because it gets to the 8/3 power.
Oh,
So
that's, yeah, it's true. It's in the budget page.
So 60 to 70% is due
Well,
to
let me-
future growth.
Is this the last slide?
That's all I
That
got.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I mean,
Just trying to get
Yeah.
an order of magnitude, just so
Yeah.
the board, the committee.
You know what? We
It's
have it.
online.
Yeah, we're gonna go right to it right now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go right
Real
into
time
this.
demonstration.
.org. This will be my my West moment where he just goes to the budget and gets the information.
Yeah.
So
Down to engineering. No.
no,
you
no
going
finance.
there?
It's the budget. It takes a minute to load, yeah. So
That's not gonna have the most updated number. You're gonna need to go to the cap.
this will get us close enough.
Yeah.
Do it this way. San Marcos Interceptor, 69%. So it's probably closer to 60%. If I had to guess, in the cap fee.
Yeah.
Cap fee, and then the rest is roughly probably 40, a little over 40% user.
Okay. I wasn't looking for an exact number. I just want to let
Yeah.
the committee know that a good chunk of this is
Yeah.
going to charge to development.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where it is. Yeah, but you know, the cap fee study refined that number. So, and it's
Okay.
that's about it. So
Is this
Okay.
the last slide?
yeah, that was the last slide.
That was it, yeah.
Well,
So-
thank you.
So I figured a $900,000 ask was a good way to end.
Yeah.
It's not a real ask at this point, actually. So.
Yeah, maybe more after the.
Yeah.
bids
I
go
mean, that's what I'm afraid of. You know, their estimates on just unit costs went up like 30% from the previous one on just, you know, pipeline linear costs.
Yeah, what's the bidding environment lately?
It's tough.
It's
So,
still,
yeah, it's still very high. The contractors haven't slowed down. So
we need a good recession.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some good prices.
yeah, no doubt. We were building when we did phase 1 and phase 1A. I mean, the cost per linear foot was less than about half.
Yeah.
So unless there's any questions on any of
So I'll just make a comment. Craig, you probably said that somewhat in jest, but is there, what sense of urgency is there to this project? We put it out to bid and they come out astronomical.
Well, I mean, you could always push it, but you know, right now we have a 42-inch line. I'll show you. We have, whoops. So right now, in this area right here, there's a 42-inch line and it necks down to a 21-inch line, and every day, it's 100% full. Every day. So
So
during
what
that,
happens in wet weather?
so that weather pressurizes it temporarily during that junction, and it's basically full, and we surcharge, but we don't spill. So we're making it through.
Surcharge manhole, you mean it's manhole?
Yeah, and then it's off picture here, but one of the other sewer lines, because it'll end up backwatering, and then we end up flooding the coming down Craven Road. We end up flooding that line up Craven Road also because of it.
That one they just upsized?
Yeah.
That developer?
Yeah, that's the one that just upsized. That gets flooded out. So part of the creek project, right, is to raise that up, so it doesn't have that ability. So when they put the new bridges across.
Well, I heard they just let the contract out of
So
it.
that started
Yeah.
about the same time
Yeah.
as this
Well,
one?
no, we're tied. So environmentally, we're tied together. So they're going to trigger the environmental permit. We have to comply with their environmental permits because we're within the same work zone. But we're working off the city's environmental permit essentially.
Their bids came in well below their engineers.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
That doesn't mean it's a good bid climate, it just may mean they had really high estimates.
But if you look at it, I feel like they're go to the
We
total.
started at that Via Veracruz Bridge site.
So they're 62 million. We're 6.2. I feel like they're doing more than 10 times the work. So I feel like, our estimates came in lower than Kennedy Jenks, but they're the engineer of record and that's their estimate, and we'll see what it really comes in. I'm really hoping for a $5.5 to $5.8 million number. That's
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then that's good, because if it comes in at 7.5 and turns at 8.5 into 9.5,
Yeah.
we may just say, let's hold on this homer.
But if you look at it, right, when people argue that our estimate for the outfall is too high, our estimate for the outfall is a lower unit price than this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if we're not popping manholes, and if the bid goes way too out of the atmosphere,
so unless there is a good recession though, the price just seems to go up.
well, it's coming. The recession is coming.
Yeah, I think it might be very different a year
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah,
economically.
in 2001,
Well,
21.
what we're gonna do is when we have that pre-bid, we're gonna say, hey, that recession's coming, so this is like a year's worth of work guarantee.
Yeah.
So lock that in.
Knock it
Keep
in now
payroll
at a
going.
lower price.
Yeah.
I don't see any public comment, so unless we have any questions, adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Yeah,
Ann.
Great.
great.